Hey ladies and jellyfish, wumbles of all sizes, welcome to the top 10 SpongeBob episodes I like that everyone hates. Brought to you by A.S.K. My brain is an empty enigma with brilliant, awesome, creative, and sometimes stupid ideas. Well, you guys wanted it, and now you have it. The top 10 SpongeBob episodes that I like that, meaning everyone, YouTubers, you guys, and my friends hate. I don't really have rules this time, but I like most of these episodes more than the average or not so average person. So let's kick it off. Number 10, Suction Cup Symphony. This episode wasn't brilliant by any means. There was some Squidward torture in it, as well as Patrick and SpongeBob being inconsiderate dumbbells. But this episode, after so long and so many doctor cliches, which by the way were okay, they weren't really special and didn't contribute anything to the plot. Anyway, after more than half of an episode of Squidward's Day Off and Squeaky Boots times 100, we get the performance, which to be fair isn't half bad. The doctor cliches ruin an excellent song without the squeaky clarinet to ruin it. The Squid torture is refunded by a happy ending with Squidward winning for once. Not my favorite episode by any means, but I did enjoy Squidward genuinely happy at the end. I have no idea why not many people like this episode. Must just be some kind of a mad imagination. Number 9, The Krabby Chronicle. Okay, I guess this episode wasn't gold, but with a few tweaks, anything is possible. Mr. Krabs is extremely unlikable here. He doesn't care that SpongeBob's friends, if not his friends, are losing their reputations because of stupid and private things. Heck, he could care less if they died. Okay, Zeus, shove this into your minuscule brain that's jammed into that hollow skull of yours. This is a kid's show. This is a kid's show. The moral of harassment, lies, negligence, or even murder, and after getting no punishment, in fact more than punishment, is not a moral on a kid's show. Unless you want the current kid generation to turn out losers and have to scar their next generations by writing more garbage like this. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Why is this episode he's ranting about be on this list? While the ending, being almost the bad ending of Mr. Krabs losing his money, is not the best punishment, but it's out there. The ending, where Mr. Krabs gets printed money, is terrible, and I would have punished him gravely, and then this episode would have been a meh. That's right, just a meh. Let's move on to number 8. I was stupid. I'm officially dead in the comments, but watching this episode again, it's not that half bad.
A.S.K, let's see, more than 13 million videos on YouTube alone, so this episode is one of, if not one of the worst pre-movie SpongeBob episodes. Heck, even you stated that in more than 79% of your top ___ countdown to applying this manner.
Oops. Okay, back then I was dumb.
You still are.
Okay, I changed my mind, and I can back up my answer. I watched this episode with a naive mind and with a bad perspective. But watching it again, I can see that this episode, Rule of Dumb and Driven to Tears, have a plot. But Patrick is a jerk for a reason. In Rule of Dumb, the point of Patrick being a jerk is that powerful goes to his head. Now I see that this episode tried to make Pat a jerk to clearly make SpongeBob snap. The entire plot of this episode relies on that. To be perfectly frank, the parents being fake and then the writers taking Patrick's stupidity too far wasn't perfect. But I guess one episode can't have every miracle. Not an Oscar-winning episode, but I can see why you guys might not love it and why I have a different opinion. Different opinions.
Sounds good to me.
Number 7, Patrick SmartPants. Why do you guys not like this episode? I love it! Patrick taking his dumping mood too far didn't bother me, but it sure does seem to bother you guys. I really liked this episode's mood. The moral of friendship is the most important thing than anything. The cool twist, the joke with plankton subspecies, and way more. It's also really fun to see Patrick unusually intelligent after 4 seasons. The plot is complemented by Patrick being dumb in the beginning to show the transformation. This episode is great beyond time and space, in my humble opinion. Number 6, Whale of a Birthday. Why do people like this episode? I guess it's because it's a Mr. Krabs torture episode. Well, it's no pay, I'll tell you that. Mr. Krabs deserved everything he got. If Spongy G hadn't brought all that stuff, Pearl's most important birthday would have gone down as it did every year. and the money spent is karma to Mr. Krabs for ruining 16 birthdays. I think SpongeBob's ignorance for spending the money here is finally working. Quarbos. I think another good plot for this episode could have been Pearl standing up to her friends and saying there's nothing wrong with her birthdays and Mr. Krabs, like Grandma's kisses. But I guess Mr. Krabs' greed was escalated so much that I don't feel one bit bad for him, and I think Pearl standing up for him is undeserving. I really think Scooter in this episode. I really like him. The comedy, the dishwasher gag, and every millisecond he's in this episode, except for the stage scene, obviously. I like how they introduced how SpongeBob doesn't know what a credit card is, and I haven't really thought about this much, but why doesn't the Krusty Krab accept credit card money, not cash? Maybe an upcoming episode. I guess the SpongeBob crew has to do the hat trick again. Huh? Am I right? Ergo, an undeserving episode with a bit of Scooter torture. Number 5. Porous Pockets. I really like Patrick in this episode. He introduces a story, a moral, and a glimpse of light that the Patrick we all know and love is coming back. I love how he knows that the rich guy was trouble from the start. I guess him finding the pearl and thinking that it's a ball is acceptable since Patrick, after all, is an idiot. I can't help but feel bad for him losing his best friend, and well, an ice cream. I don't even understand how you guys don't like this episode. The lesson of spending your money with thought is a great moral. You know, this moral brings a good quote to mind. Never spend your money unless you have earned it. From Thomas Jefferson. Let's move on to number 4, Earworm. This episode is sometimes liked by many, sometimes hated by many, or just in the middle. I personally like it, between middle and love. This episode is very relatable because of how real people get tunes stuck in their heads. The song itself is very excellent. I like how different parts play different moments in the episode, except obviously the chorus. The hidden message of addiction, or the SpongeBob Goes Nuts part, is played in an okay manner. This episode is very similar to procrastination. The part of SpongeBob getting carried away is how you do good cringy scenes in a getting carried away manner. Splinter. I think Mr. Krabs could have gone even more demanding and threatening, which pushes SpongeBob more into doing the same plot. I think the scene of SpongeBob going insane is a great, funny, well-animated climax. Overall, a great, funny episodio. Number 3, Sweet and Sour Squid. I think this episode is great. I like how Plankton goes to Squidward for the formula, but the episode isn't completely aimed for the formula. I love Plankton's song and how Squidward isn't ignorant toward the stupid costumes Plankton wore like SpongeBob always ignorantly reacts to. Imitation Krabs, married to money, someone's in the kitchen with Sandy, etc., etc., etc. The costumes are also really funny, and I really like the family member scene. I think the clarinet playing super loudly is too cringe-inducing. Maybe if the sound was silent or muffled, from Plankton's perspective, it would have been way better or funnier. I also think Scooter's clarinet getting broken is very dumb and undeserving. Still, a meh episode. Meh is okay, isn't it? I don't know. Number 2, Craft Crabs. I think this is how you stretch Mr. Krabs' greed too far. I love every crab at a convention has their own personality. I love how Mr. Krabs arrives there in a ladder and then gets owned by another crab. I love the competition and how SpongeBob messes up the testimony. SpongeBob trying to learn from Mr. Krabs is hilarious. From the laugh to the tip gag, it's hilarious. I feel like the friendly relationship between SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs is great, and how Mr. Krabs doesn't strangle SpongeBob in the hotel room. I don't get how they have to exaggerate the entire hotel room, but it's a funny episode. I guess people hate this episode because of the stealing or lying moral, but it's just humor on a kid's show, and as long as they don't torture me, I'm good. Let's move on to number 1, guys. Number 1. It's the episode everyone hates that I love. Frozen Face-Off. This episode is great beyond all meaning. The pacing is excellent, there's no filler, the plot is great, the climax is excellent, the multiple conflicts are suspenseful and awesome, and the bit of comedy it gets is worthwhile. I like how all the characters are together, there's a goal of the $1 million, and I like the story with Mr. Krabs and the monster. I just love how Plankton in this episode, he's funny, he's not dumb like in episodes like Computer Overload. I like how all those conflicts interweave together nicely and with balance, unlike, say, whatever happened to SpongeBob. Every character does something in this episode. SpongeBob is the one who owns the sleigh, Gary's the one who pulls the sleigh. Sandy uses conventions to navigate and keep going and not falling to their doom. Mr. Krabs introduces conflicts and stories. Squidward has his funny running gag of him freezing. He doesn't do a lot, but hey, he's Squidward, come on. Karen lets Plankton down by telling them his plan. Even Patrick uses his gummies and food to help. Now, what people usually hate in this episode is how there's no comedy, which is okay in some areas, and how Patrick is a jerk with the jelly beans, and how he bosses Gary around. Speaking of Gary, people usually hate Gary torture in this episode, but we later see that Gary has a warmer boat to rest in. I like how Plankton's actually in this episode, unlike, say, Truth or Square. I'm starting to not like Hello Bikini Bottom as much as this one. Dun, dun, dun! Okay, ladies and jellyfish, this is the end of this list. Thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you all enjoyed this list. I actually spent a lot of time on this. I wrote a super long script, which I'm not used to. So if you enjoyed this awesome video, give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to A.S.K. Thanks for watching, and peace.